Chag Motzei Chag HaShavuot 5776 and Shavuot Tov. I'd like to share with you a thought that appears in this book, Shabbos Stories, by Rabbi Shimon Finkelman. So this week we're reading Parshat Naso, this coming week, and in Parshat Naso there's a juxtaposition of the Sota and the Nazir. The Sota is a woman who has been warned not to be alone with another man. A married woman has been warned by her husband not to be alone with another man. It's a complex set of halachos, but she has violated that. And there's a whole process that the Torah describes. Part of that is we see it done in the Beis Hamikdash, in the Temple of Yerushalayim, and it is a public affair, and it's very humiliating just to have this take place. And then the Torah puts in the section right after that a Nazir. The Nazir is a person who forswears wine and coming in contact with the dead and eating all grape products, and he also doesn't cut his hair. And the question is raised, why are these two things juxtaposed? And so Rashi provides us a comment from the Gemara in Sota. Why are these two chapters juxtaposed? Because whoever sees a Sota in her degradation should prohibit wine to himself by taking the vow of a Nazir. So there's a great deal has been said and comment on this point, but the particular question that Rabbi Finkelman asks is the reason that it is explained is that if a person sees this woman has fallen into sin, how did that happen? So it's, one drink, two drinks, people will become loose, and one thing leads to the next, and trouble comes from alcohol. So therefore, the Nazir should avoid having wine. That's a part of the reason. There's a great deal more to be said there, but the simple question is, why would someone who sees this and sees how the wayward wife is treated? She has her hair uncovered. She has her dress torn. And in fact, then she has to drink the special water that's prepared by erasing the chapter in the Torah into the water. And if she sinned, actually, if she didn't sin, because behind closed doors, nobody but she and God know what happened, and the other guy. So if it turns out that she didn't sin, then her marriage will be saved, and she'll be blessed with children, and she'll have a wonderful life. But if she did sin, she will die a very, very horrible death by drinking this specially prepared water. You can even call it magical water. And so he asks, why do the sages say that one who witnessed her degradation should become a Nazir and abstain from wine? Isn't it obvious that if somebody saw the gruesome death of a Sota, that would keep him away? You just see how horrible this woman, her body explodes and falls apart. Isn't that enough of a reason to keep people from sinning? Why does a person have to go ahead and become a Nazir to prevent himself from sinning? So in order to answer this, he tells a story. She tells two stories. Let's see if we have time for both. During World War One, a young Jewish soldier in the Russian army found himself deeply frustrated and upset. He was fighting on the front lines where the battle raged furiously. His comrades were falling all around him. During the lulls in the fighting, he and his fellow soldiers would have to drag the dead bodies off the battlefield. He noticed that there was one group of soldiers who were able to rejuvenate themselves when they returned to rest in their foxholes. These were religious Jews who would spend their brief rest time reciting Tehillim, Psalms. It was obvious that the saying of Tehillim imbued them with faith and had a calming effect upon them. At one point in the war, this soldier lifted his eyes to the heavens and said, "God, I hate being a soldier. I hate killing and being in danger of getting killed. It is not my fault that I do not pray to you or observe other commandments. I was never taught anything about Judaism. Please show me that you are watching over me. Cause a bullet to wound my hand so that I will no longer have to fight in this terrible war." Moments later, the fighting came to a halt as the two sides agreed to a brief ceasefire. Then a lone shot from a German gun hit the soldier on the finger. The wound was enough to prevent him from ever returning to the front. The soldier had clearly seen God's intervention. He promised himself that as soon as he returned home, he would begin to learn about Judaism and would observe all the mitzvahs. When the war ended, the soldier returned home, still determined to become religious. However, he decided that before beginning to learn about his heritage, he would first return to college for the 3 months of study he still needed in order to earn a degree in agriculture. By the time those 3 months passed, his resolve was no longer the same. The spiritual awakening which he had experienced on the battlefield was but a distant memory. He never did return to the ways of his forefathers. Years later, in a moment of honest reflection, he said, "Had I gone to study in a yeshiva right after the war was over, I might be a different sort of person today." And Rabbi Finkelman contrasts this story with a story told by Mayor Birnbaum in the book Lieutenant Birnbaum, which we also have on the shelf here. And the story goes as follows. During the Second World War, a Canadian bomber became engaged by German warplanes over France. The plane's rear gunner was a 19-year-old non-religious Jew who had volunteered for the Air Force in his desire to help fight the beasts who were trying to destroy his people. By the time the air battle ended, the Canadian plane was low on gas. On its return to base in Birmingham, England, the plane was forced to circle until it had no fuel left. The pilot tried to bring the plane down safely, but it ended up crash landing 15 miles from the base. The plane hit the ground and rolled to a stop between two houses, narrowly missing both. The impact was such that the plane was completely torn in half and its landing wheels were never recovered. Many of the crew were knocked unconscious or suffered broken limbs. Miraculously, the rear gunner never lost consciousness and none of his bones were broken. He set out on foot in the pitch dark to get help from the base, guided only by his sense of direction. When he arrived at the base, the men there could not believe their eyes. They had been sure that all the crewmen were dead. The boy was given a sleeping pill and slept for 24 hours. As soon as he awoke, he asked to be taken to the home of Rabbi Reuben Rabinowitz, whose house was a home away from home for many Jewish soldiers. The boy was given a hero's escort as a general accompanied him to the rabbi's home. As soon as he entered the house, the boy asked that Rabbi Rabinowitz teach him how to say Tehillim. He began to observe the mitzvos and was filled with an unquenchable thirst for Torah. In time, he became fully observant. The boy ended his military career as a captain and was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross for his heroism at the time of the crash. Upon returning home, he lost none of his enthusiasm for Torah, Today, all his sons and sons-in-law are B'nai Torah and live a Torah life. And so he concludes, when a person lives through a very inspiring experience, the memories of that event alone will not be enough to make the person a better Jew. Memories are nice, but their impact fades after a while. And so the Nazir, when he sees this, it's not good enough to say, I'll remember how bad it could be to sin. He has to do something right away. A friend of mine, Rabbi Yehuda Winograd, he should be well, said the Boston Rebbe in Brooklyn would say, as soon as you have an idea to do something, you should start it right away. Grab the opportunity. So perhaps a Shavuos takeaway is, everybody hopefully has some sort of inspiration on Shavuos to do something right away, put it into action, learn a little bit more, do an extra mitzvah, say an extra till, whatever it is that person needs to latch on, grab that moment and encapsulate it in such a way that you can take it with you in a real way. That's what we can learn from the Nazir and from the contrast of these two stories. Shavuot Tov, Kol Tov.